Well, hello there, everybody, and welcome to the hashtag triggered Failcast FM with the wonderful Mr. Esteban. How are you doing, sir?
Buenos dias, mi amigo. All is well. I tell you what, it's balls cold here today in Berlin. All outside, anything liquid is completely frozen solid. So I'm in a good mood. I like it cold. Been out for some fresh air. Had myself a bit of flavoured water and a bacon sandwich. What more do you need before you podcast about Formula One?
Oh, that sounds like the breakfast of champions. Although it has now left me pondering how you would test that something is balls cold. Do you just literally whip them out and smack them in the ice?
Exactly. Basically, if they retract into your body when you step outside, then it's balls cold. And you're right, it is the breakfast of champions, which does beg the question as to why I'm eating it.
The breakfast of backmarkers can happen too.
Exactly.
That's where we've had one too many, and then we're no longer aerodynamic.
The breakfast of backmarker champions.
Which is really what it's all about, especially here.
That said, there are 4 points next to my name, and I'm sure we're all wondering why I have them. Up at the top, though, in a case of art imitating life, I suppose, Nico Rosberg leads Lewis Hamilton. Kimi Raikkonen third, 3 points behind Lewis. And then it's a big gap down to Ricciardo and Jenson Button, who were tied on 18 points. You know it's a video game.
Oh, yeah.
Right then. Well, we've got a qualifying session to go over and some Russia to drive. How do you feel about this track?
Nonplussed. It's a weird one, because it all kind of blends into one for me, and there's a couple. I feel like it suffers from Tilke syndrome, or later on Tilke syndrome, where he's found one really good attribute and then went, fuck it, rest of track. And I admit that with round here, it's it's really difficult because he's going round the Olympic Park. But I feel like that is shoehorning in a track to where a track probably shouldn't be, rather than building a track that works for Formula One.
I agree. I agree with you that fundamental statement that it does feel like, oh, we'll just shove an F1 track over something we were building anyway to sort of, improve the attractiveness of both. I agree with you on that. But actually, I don't hate the circuit. I mean, it's not one of my favourites, by all means, but I do quite enjoy driving it. I have some problems, though, particularly with the AI on this track.
Around turn one.
Not just turn one. There's that long sweeping left-hander before the right leading chicane, and I forget which turn. I need to know my turn numbers for these tracks, but there either when I come on the brakes, the car pulls to the left slightly, and I go into the barrier, or before that sort of sweeping long left-hander begins, the AI squash me against the wall.
Oh, okay.
If I'm alongside, so I'm hoping to avoid that today. Hoping.
Boo. Well, I was rather annoyed. This will probably come out after. Yeah, it will actually. Speaking of AI, I was doing my Monaco career last night live, and I'd screwed it up already, but was busy punting people out of the way as I was going back up the field, and Kimi was coming around to lap me just as the rain started at half distance, and he just drove right into my arse and took me off into the wall, and that was the end of it. And when we looked at the replay, he literally just lampooned me smack bang in the middle, and I was like, damn.
Speaking of that, actually, I think it might have been my Russia round. I don't know. One of my career mode races, did you see that Vettel did the same thing?
Yes.
He just went straight into the back of me, and I mean that episode really annoyed people, right? Because I'm supposed to have flashbacks turned off, but I had to turn them on because my controller was broken. So any accident that was caused by my controller just no longer responding, I flashbacked from.
Yeah.
But that one I didn't. But I think people thought that I just got bored at that point and thought, fuck it, I want to end the episode, and that really wasn't the case. Right, which setup have you got?
So I'm just copying mine over from the PS4 version. So I've got 5 4 wings,
Wow, you and I are very different on the aero.
Ooh.
I've
67.
got 10.9.
Oh, wow. Okay. 67 apiece on the throttle.
71.67.
2.9, 1.40932.
Negative 3.3, negative 1.6, 0.12, 0.32.
Okay. 667733 on the suspension.
775655.
Wow, we don't have anything at all. 7261.
7659.
Fucking hell. 23.8 and 22.3.
23.4, 21.9.
And 8.
8. That's the only thing we agree on.
Jiminy
It is, though,
crickets.
I've got a feeling I'm running way too much downforce. I'm going to do it anyway. Sod it.
Do it. Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. Okay, I will put those on. I will quickly turn off my PlayStation 4. Where
Can
I
you see
have
the animated guy putting together my pit board?
do you know what? Yes, I can. Actually, now that you've spotted it out, and I did notice it when I was going around on a kind of PS4 version last night. But I think I'd seen it there before, but I hadn't clocked it or the detail of it. So I was like, ooh, pretty.
It is good, isn't it, that they actually bothered to do it? But I guess it's for Pro Career Mode, right? Where you don't have a heads-up display.
Yeah.
So you can't see your lap time. So you need to have the pit board to sort of have a reference.
Mm-hmm. Now, the other minor issue that I have with this track, and it may have been, actually, hopefully it will just be game related. When I've got R Factor 2, this track, whatever it was, must have been the least optimised track ever in the world, because I couldn't run it above 20 frames. Oh yeah, this is fine. And I was like, where do I brake? Do I brake now? Now! So yeah.
I think it's a skill trying to drive this game on a poorly performing machine.
It's a
Particularly
skill I've yet to manage.
like in yesterday's session, which I just went into the barrier.
Oh, no.
Same place I always do.
Oh.
The car pulls to the left on the braking, and I don't know why. It's something about this setup that makes it turn in on itself. But yeah, in the session we did yesterday, we would. Oh, I've completely forgotten. I'm sorry, my chain of thought has gone. Please carry on without me. Do the podcast without me for a moment, and I'll come back down to earth eventually.
Boo. Yeah. So this Russian circuit, and yes, I think there is a skill to driving a game that is less than 30 frames per second, which is what I think I bounce around on just about. Because you noticeably see the gaps in what's going on, and so you have to almost drive a few frames ahead of yourself. So yeah, it's an
Yeah, this is exactly what I was meaning to talk about, and I forgot what was going on. Because yesterday, when we were trying to race each other, despite the desync between us and the frame drops and stuff, and we didn't come together, and I think that's a positive indicator of our maturity as drivers compared to where we began. Because really, you do have to sort of change everything. I was trying to leave you space when I didn't even know if you'd be there, and you're trying to assume why. Well, I can't see which line he's taking because he's like 5 frames behind me, but it might catch up in a minute. Where's he going to come out?
Yeah.
And I think that's a talent that should be recognised. I think there should be a world championship for this game, where all the machines are desynced and running at like 21 frames per second. And then we'll see who's a good driver, Alex Zaffro.
Don't get me started on the popular YouTubers who do things like Oh, no. Hey guys, like, subscribe. Oh my god, the AI! When they blatantly just cut a corner and smashed into them.
Yeah.
It's like, oh. Actually, the more I watch of other YouTubers, the more snobby I think I've got over time. And the more I realise actually how, even though we are generally a bit poor, actually how much better we are in terms of actually playing the game properly. Oh, as he goes completely off and does his signs.
Well, you see, the thing is for me that I think it's this kind of thing that affects the entirety of YouTube, right? Because
Yeah.
I've been working with Current over at the Northern Cast Network on preparing everything for that. And we've been working with some artists to get graphics done and all that kind of stuff. And someone was setting us up with thumbnails for the podcasts and everything. And everything we got through was that clickbaity, cry laughing smileys and big neon text and stuff. And I'm like, no, this is really not what we wanted. I don't think you understand. We're having a political debate about the impact of a Trump presidency. That's not a Lola Multicon moment.
No. No, exactly. And when people click on that, there's also like a I think that you would get like a bit of kickback because people will go there for the short attention span stuff. And if you're actually going to ask them to engage and like there isn't a cat falling off something, they're going to go, well, this is what I came here for, and leave immediately anyway.
Exactly my point. I think if you piss people about, they don't respond well. What does respond well, though, is this setup, apparent, because I've gone second.
Oh, wow. Nicely done, sir. I'm going to go for a take 2. I completely forgot at the end of Sector 2 that it's to break at the 150 board, not the 100. So, remember, yo, breaker boards. But that whole thing around, I'm keeping the same tyres. Yes, I know. Someone will always comment that I didn't swap the tyres, but we're in Q1, and I've gone for softer tyres here because Russia is generally a low tyre wear circuit. So hopefully that will bear dividends in the rates. But like that whole thing about short attention spans and grabby headlines and stuff like that, I genuinely feel that is one of the things that is epidemic, and why someone like Donald Trump, who is able to shout those headlines and get attention very, very quickly, is able to make such a big impact and get people to sit up, essentially, and go for a vote, because he's able to break things down into small bite-sized shouty headlines that cause debate whether you agree with him or not. So yeah,
exactly.
Epidemic.
I mean, I wouldn't have voted for him. It's fair to say I wouldn't have voted for him, but like I said on Twitter at the time, we just have to accept that the left, or what passes for the left in America but really isn't, just did a poor job of motivating.
Yeah.
It didn't communicate with people very well.
47% of people didn't bother to vote, did they? So
exactly. So I think rather than screaming about the result, people need to look at themselves and sort of think, right, what did we do wrong that's just made people switch off entirely?
Yeah.
I mean, because that's really worrying to me, right? That means, what is it, 49% of people didn't vote? 49% of Americans would be fine with a dictatorship, is basically what that says to me. And I'm sure many of those people, if you ask them, would say they wouldn't be fine with a dictatorship, but their decision not to vote implies it. It's like, well, we get one vote every 4 or 5 years, and I chose not to use it because I don't care. Well, if you don't care, you might as well a dictator forever. You know, people died so you can make a decision like this. You should make the decision. Oh, now I'm third. Lewis has gone top. But I am 2/10 clear of Danny Ricciardo. He's on the slower tyre, but still. Though.
I like it.
You've not set a time yet, me old China.
No, I'm just going around on one now. I had to pit for a new front wing. So...
I'm going to go on board with you for a minute.
Immediately I make a mistake because I know now you're
I was
watching.
going to say.
I'm never quite
Now,
sure how
while
to
you're
take
doing
these.
your lap, I'm going to talk through what we've seen so far in Brazil.
Yeah.
For me, the very interesting thing was seeing Lewis pick up a pole position when I actually, in my heart of hearts, didn't think that he would. Although I'm not prepared to write Nico off the race today, given that the gap is so comparatively small. I mean, usually when Lewis pulls out a pole lap, it's a big enough gap. You know, sort of question. Two of them, same. You know, those occasions where Lewis pulls out like a 6/10 gap for pole, and you think, Jesus, where did he find that time? It didn't happen this time. And if he has one of his trademark poor starts, then I don't see any reason at all why Nico shouldn't get out in front and stay there. So I like to see this Grand Prix simply because it messes with Bernie's planning.
What? So, question. Smithy has a minor issue with something because of the amount of basically the difference between the pole position for me was Lewis cutting the final pit lane corner and Rosberg did not. Discuss.
That's a very good point, and I'd be inclined to agree with you. I would be inclined to agree with you. There was some comment on the commentary about it, but I don't think anybody really saw it as likely that any sort of penalty would be awarded. But if it had been me, I probably would have had words, to be honest. But it stands, and that's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's again that issue, I suppose, with consistency. That the rule is the rule, right? You're not supposed to cross there. And was it Massa last year was getting repeatedly warned about it?
Yeah.
Wow, that was a big lock up there, me old China.
That was a little bit. I'm on the cusp on 16th, although this lap is better, but I am not hooked up into the circuit. I struggle around several of these corners and take different lines depending on what mood I'm in.
Well, what's interesting to me is that when I heard that you and I had totally different setups, I immediately began to assume my setup was wrong. But the car feels really good.
I think yours is the right way to go, sir.
But again, this just goes to show that the game actually takes account of this stuff. It just goes to show the game actually bothers to make use of a system of you know, different variables that you can tweak on the car to get different performance. Back to qualifying, I think other than the guys up front, the big thing for me was Roman Grosjean pulling out 7th.
Yeah, where did that come from?
Without even standing up. You just went sideways around that corner for me. We're getting a bit of desync.
Uh-oh. Your voice has been popping in and out, actually, to be fair.
Amazing. I've done everything I can to like free up bandwidth on my internet, but I guess it's my internet that's the problem. Hurry up, guys! It's all cable broadband.
Could be mine. Virgin Media is not great at all at the moment. Right, well, I've got a purple sector 1.
The thing is, what I always notice is my internet is always worse on Sundays. And when you and I record on Sundays, as it is today, that's when, if we ever have major problems, it's always on Sunday. And I don't know what it is about Sundays. Maybe the internet has a day off.
It's gone
Who knows? Yeah, Grosjean's lap. The problem is that the coverage I watched didn't show on board with him, so I have no idea where he found that time. But Gutierrez as well, actually, was briefly in Q3. And then just got pipped at the last minute. Palmer as well, good showing, I felt.
Yeah, his Q2 lap was a bit weird, but yeah.
But I think it goes to show this idea of him, the pressure being lifted off his shoulders a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Enables him to sort of dig down. Oh, you've out-qualified. Where did that come from? Speaking of people pulling time out of their arse, where did that...
It was clearly when I was sideways around that corner. No, I hooked up Q1.
You've gone almost 8/10 faster than me.
That was entirely around two corners. Two corners was all that I got perfect. Turn 3.
I didn't even bother going out again. I saw you were 16th, and I just thought, well, we'll just not say anything about it. And I'll just calmly sit here, and then you come and pull that out of nowhere.
Sauce.
You will be. I'm going to try and use the soft compounding Q2.
Oh, you Jim Jam. Do you think have you got enough of a gap over him? I don't know what the difference between the compounds are here. Actually,
it's about 7/10,
okay.
According to the thing. But I just feel like I have to give it a try. There's enough time for me to go out on super softs if needs be, but I think it's possible. Because assuming no one improves too much, I've got time to find. According to the current lap times, I could just about squeeze in, I think.
Wait.
I'd be 9th, 10th, or 11th. But as long as it's 9th or 10th, then it's fine. And then I've got a nice, easy start, to be honest. I put my stint on the harder tyre out of the way at the beginning without having to pit on lap 3, which annoys me. I mean, any early pit stop I find really hard to come back from.
Absolutely. That was what bugged me up in my career. There was a safety car and I pitted on lap 2 and I was down in last, stupidly at Monaco. But I was like, yeah, get the tyres out of the way because I damaged my wing a bit. And I was just stuck behind a Sauber, Manor and Massa train. And we couldn't get past Harriento at all. It was all like, oh, this is horrible. So, yeah.
You've gone very robotic on me, mate.
Oh. Robotron.
Now you're better.
Okay.
Now you're better.
Corner cutting and exceeding track limits, Mr. Zero.
Yeah, I know. I did as well. I did. Not on my fastest lap though, so I don't feel too bad. But I did. There's that sharp left-hander before the final corner complex.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did it there because it's quite easy to do as well because of how I brake. Excuses, but still.
No, I feel your pain.
Right then, let's slam on. Yeah, apparently the delta is plus 0.720 seconds. But I'm gonna do it anyway.
We'll see
Contra strategy.
Because I've gone for the soft compounds of tyres, it doesn't let me do it. I have to go super soft.
Boo. I've only got one set of super softs for the race though.
I'll have this and one to change to, and then a soft or a medium. But the medium looks awful.
Exactly, and I've got a feeling you're going to have... I've got the better car setup, you've got the better tyre choice.
Swapsies?
Whoopsies. The thing is that I would normally almost always at least, opt for the softer compounds. But I did that yesterday and we saw how that worked out. With my 5-stop strategy.
Which was amazing. There's all kind... Oh, wow.
Get out of my way.
Oh, he had a torrid Brazil, didn't he?
Yeah. I feel bad for him. I want him to have a... What I really want, actually, is for him to come back after a year when all of a sudden McLaren under a good. I want him to get a race win before he retires.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him get another win with McLaren on. It would make me incredibly happy. That would be Formula One's equivalent of the Leicester City Premier League victory.
Well, it would be...
I have to get out from behind him because it's...
Back off, if you are able to.
Stop ruining my laps, posh.
We are jumping about a bit.
I just got a warning for exceeding track limits, even though it's not a timed lap, because Button ran me off the road trying to get past me for some reason, even though I am faster.
Nice.
Right, I'm going to start my timed lap, and while I start my timed lap, I want to talk very much about Fernando's free practice 2 shenanigans, which I hadn't seen when we last spoke, but I've seen them now. Now, I mean, what it makes me wonder is what his frame of mind is, because you'd think a truly professional race driver would want to be back in the pits analysing what went wrong. Do you think he'll retire after next season?
I think that will depend entirely on what state McLaren is in next season. Because I think the promises of better, better, better are wearing thin. I still think that he is an exceptionally amazing driver, but I don't know. Maybe he's learnt to. He knows where to take the chill pill, and when not to. I don't know. It's a weird one, because it's not as if he's not performing, and I've noticed that as McLaren has got better, especially when it comes to races, he's much more alive and in it compared to where he was last year, where you just felt like he just wanted to retire the car because it wasn't going to score anything. But yeah, I think what it's shown me is that he has the hunger when stars align, not every weekend.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think I could see him retiring though. I mean, it's strange. He definitely does have the hunger. I know exactly what you're talking about. I think he is a natural winner, and I think he definitely does come alive on the track when the car is with him and when he's got a chance to do a bit of racing. I mean, we've seen it already, actually. The competitive streak does come out. I mean, he's been setting fastest laps occasionally just because he can. Like, he knows he's not going to win the race, so fuck it, small victories, you know.
Yeah.
And I do like that about him. I think for me, another factor will be the Ron Dennis situation, which I think we should touch on.
Oh, yeah.
Big Ron ousted from McLaren. He took them to court, actually, I saw, to try and prevent the termination of his contract as chairman.
Which can only help relations, surely.
Yeah, he lost that. The High Court found in favour of McLaren Group, and Big Ron is out. What do you feel about that?
So, two minds. One, who the hell is McLaren Group? And why are they not a presence that we know about more of on the grid? And what does that then say about, are they dealing with Formula One at arm's length and not really bothering, or not? I'm not sure. Two, I think it's a real shame that Ron gets ousted from a team that he's spent so long dealing with and doing with and getting to so many high places. But similarly, whatever he's doing at the moment is not necessarily working, and I know they're looking at the long-term gain, but they must be hemorrhaging money left, right and centre with no sponsors, practically. How long is their sustainability going, and are they looking at that maybe to make it more profitable now, as opposed to looking for the long-term benefits?
I agree with a lot of what you've said. First of all, I can answer one of your questions as to who is McLaren Group. 25% Ron Dennis, 25% his business partner, I think his name is Mansour OJ, I forget.
Okay.
And then 50% is the Bahraini Sovereign Wealth Fund.
Wow.
Those are the owners of McLaren Group, and McLaren Group is McLaren Formula One, McLaren Technology, McLaren Automotive, and something else. It's the group of McLaren companies. McLaren Composites, maybe? I don't know. And obviously McLaren Formula One is a subsidiary of that. It used to be the other way around. Everything was a subsidiary of the Formula One team, but then they made, the same way Williams, they made the decision that actually you should have the business part of the business
Yeah.
be the business, and the Formula One team be like an arm of the business rather than the other way around, which makes sense. I'm fifth on the slower tyre,
Oh wow! I was just going third.
so I'm going to come in and see if I can make it through, or if I have to go out again. I did laps, so I put more laps on the tyres than I wanted, but if I can get through, I'll be a very happy chappy.
Sounds good.
For me, it's a mixed bag, right? Because I agree with you, first of all, Big Ron has been part of McLaren for a very, very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever they've been successful, it's been when he's been there.
Yes.
He's also the only one who was brave enough, because I don't think they would have done it without it, to say, you only win as a works partner. We need to develop a new works relationship. It's going to be a bumpy road, but long term, I think being the works team of Honda is better than being the customer team of Mercedes.
Yeah.
And I agree with that thinking. I think he was right.
Yes.
And I think what he's doing now is he's the Ross Brawn of it, I suppose. He's falling on his sword for the lack of immediate success.
Mm-hmm.
Only for the team to probably enter a strong period following his departure.
Yeah, and then have to almost posthumously, but he's not dead. Give him respect and where it's due, but he won't necessarily be there to pick up the rewards, and I think that's a shame. Because I think we touched on it before, where we had Ross Brawn say in his book that actually he left Mercedes because he didn't trust Wolff and Lauda. And I wonder how much mistrust there is and mudslinging that's going around with the Honda side of stuff. To, I don't know, make sure that... Because that must be a really, really toxic relationship to be in, to try and drag a team forward. So no wonder Honda are quite quiet and subservient in doing the traditional Japanese we will work harder mentality, if everyone else is slinging mud about who they should get rid of.
Yeah. No, I do agree with you on that. I think the issue for me is by losing Big Ron, you lose someone who's got the cojones to take a difficult decision like he did with the Honda partnership, and one that sometimes you need a bold decision to sort of shake things up. But at the same time, like we've had this discussion about Frank Williams stepping aside at Williams, or how Tyrrell eventually fell apart because of Ken Tyrrell.
Yeah.
It's the same here. I think there comes a time where you have to get with the program and the new way of doing things, or you fail. And while he took that bold decision that needed to be taken, in my humble opinion, he also is obstinate in his refusal to accept there is a new sponsorship paradigm in Formula One, and with his refusal to cheapen the brand of McLaren for whatever reason, the car is woefully under-sponsored.
Yeah.
And with a loss in prize money as well, I think it's very, very worrying.
Yeah, because I don't know how much they're how much do they genuinely have in their coffers at all, because they come along with all of these massive motorhomes and massive factories that look amazing and stunning, but their upkeep must be horrific.
Yeah, and it's not like Williams necessarily. I mean, Williams have a very profitable engineering arm.
Yeah.
But McLaren cars, I don't think they're profitable yet.
Well, no. Everyone looks at them and goes, "Oh, pretty," but I don't actually see many on the track or out there anywhere.
No, and the thing is, of course, that it's the same problem with Ferrari, right? It's that old paradigm that when Ferrari are building bad road cars, they're good at Formula One. When they're building good road cars, their Formula One team falls to pieces.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same with McLaren. I think their attention is split. I think they're trying to have too many fingers and too many pies while trying to bite off more than they can arguably chew with their team. Would I, in their position, still have made the Honda decision? I like to think that I would. But I also like to think that I would have maybe not signed Fernando Alonso for that. And I would have had Button and Van Dorn the entire time.
Yeah. I know, if you know that you're going to be shit out the bag, why sign people that are going to... like, from a cost perspective, Button's the cheapest world champion you're going to get, and also probably the one that toes the team line best too. Oh, the Williams are going to fuck each other's qualifying maps up. Oh no, they've been alright. Sorry. They sent out Bottas right in front of Massa into turn 1. I was like, oh no. So you've got that as an issue in general. And Alonso, as great as a driver is, it's still a car formula, and there's only like a set amount of temps or something that you can squeeze out of a car, which if it's 2 seconds off the pace, you might as well chuck in a few cheap as chips people in there, so that aren't going to like disgrace themselves, and think of the millions you'll save. Because I don't see Alonso coming out and, apart from selling maybe a deck chair line in the future, like being able to give money back into the cause throughout all of the different sponsors or anything else that comes along with him, because they clearly haven't.
Well, see, this is the thing, right? This is why I said what I said, right? Because Jensen is famous for giving great feedback. He's a great development driver, so he'd still push on development of the car. He's capable of getting the best out of the car when it's on the track as well. Mm-hmm. Arguably, maybe not as well as Fernando, but still, he's a fraction of the cost. Mm-hmm. He's great with the sponsors and the public. If you need someone to sort of mitigate the public relations disaster of the poor results, he's the man. Mm-hmm. And then you have Van Dorn in there building and developing a car for his future.
Yeah.
Because it's like I said to you last season, I feel like they've been developing a car for two guys who are going to be retired by the time it's competitive.
Yeah, absolutely.
And those cars might be perfectly to Alonso and Button drive. I'm hoping that I squeeze through. I'm 8th at the moment, 2 tenths clear of Bottas, 5 tenths clear of Button in 10th. And bizarrely, even though I've got almost maximum downforce on my car, I'm the 6th fastest in the speed trap.
Must be last of the late breakers wherever they take that. That's into the annoying end of sector 2 weird left-right corner, isn't it? Is where that speed trap's taken, I think.
Yeah. 4.6 kilometers an hour faster than Lewis Hamilton. Eat it.
Who's improved? Ricardo. Sorry, he's ahead of you anyway.
Okay, that's fine. I'm watching Button go around now.
I'm watching Bottas! And
they're the two that I have to watch. They're the two that could push me out.
Bottas has had a terrible sector 1. He's lost a second.
Oh, excellent.
Yes! Sneaky does it! So you are contra-strategying to the nth degree, because no one else tried it, apart from Massa, who didn't get through.
Yeah, and if I'm not too bad on time on that compound, then I should be okay. So my theory is the more downforce you run, the easier it is to get the harder compounds to work, because the greater force, the greater downward force, is putting more heat into the tires.
Oh, I like your thinking.
So I thought I'll give it a try, right? And then if after my first run it's obvious I'm not going to pull it off, then I will come back in, put some super softs on, and there's nothing lost because those tyres will go back to anyway. Mm-hmm. But after my first lap put me 3rd, and then my second improved by 4 tenths, I thought, yeah, I think I've got this. So I'm feeling a little bit smug.
It's good that you did improve by 4 tenths, because that first lap would have been bang on Button, and I don't know if you'd have got in. So good job going around again. Strategies.
And now trying to figure out where the game delta would put me. You're supposed to be 8 tenths faster on the super softs. So if I'd been 8 tenths faster, I would have been where Rosberg is.
Yeah. Nice.
I guess we'll find out now, actually, because I'm back on the super softs for Q3.
Yeah. The duel in the Russian roulette.
I have to say, I'm proud of us getting through to Q3 every round since Australia.
I know, this is done well. It's just when we go into the race, it will go wrong.
Well, I mean, I still want to do a retrospective of our careers. I mean, we need to make a video downloading some of our best moments and things like that.
Yeah.
Because I also want to do an analysis of our driving, because there are, as we switch between cars, and we'll call it race formulas, but really it's versions of the game. Things have fluctuated between us. And there have been versions of the game where, one of us is a far better qualifier and the other one's better at the race and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it'd be interesting to sort of get a feel for that and see what we can learn from it. It'd be cool. Speaking of things to learn from, how is it going over in Motorsport Manager Land for you?
So I am about to. Congratulations on your video, by the way. I spotted the view count. Impressive.
Yeah, thank you.
There.
Please go on.
I got a mobile notification that you've uploaded episode 2 already. So I was like, oh my god, I need to catch up that whilst I have my lunch after this. And then go to track, Simon, you idiot. I was going to say, yeah. So I've not had tons, and I've been debating whether I'd completely restart from scratch, but I'm still going to go for the Panther team at the very bottom, so that I can be a proper true Minardi and drag it up the doldrums. I don't necessarily want to jump between teams necessarily until I need to jump up a formula if you can't move between them, which I'm assuming you can't. And yeah, so that will keep me amused. But yeah, I'm loving it. Still struggling for pace and still struggling for results, but enjoying finding out all of the little nooks and crannies as we go. How about you?
I'm in a strange position because I'm doing a really good job in practice. I'm doing a really good job of maximizing my program. I'm not focusing very much. I tend to do like mixed data collection.
Right.
But I'm getting a lot of data out of my guys. My guys both have really good feedback score. So I'm learning a lot. And my quality and race trim, I'm getting up to level 2, level 3 in some sessions, which
cool.
is great. But
are you doing long sessions or short sessions? Sorry.
Long. I think it's the only way.
Yeah.
But then I find that we tend to qualify okay, or at least one of my guys does. But in the race, I'm terrible. I'm a terrible strategist in the race. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. But my guy's pace seems to fall away, and I think I'm overanalyzing. I'm trying to find out why they're so shit on the fly, rather than really understanding it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I had a guy put loads of time in practice into getting the hard compound to work and onto his race trim, right? So I thought, he's got great knowledge of how the car behaves in the race. He's got great knowledge of how the car performs on the hard compound. We'll qualify poorly, but we'll kick him out on the hard compound and everything will be right with the world.
Yeah.
And he gets out there and he's ridiculously slow. And it doesn't get any better. And then all of a sudden, partway through his stint, he comes alive and he gains like 3 places, only to immediately lose them. And then I bring him in because I think, right, he's losing time behind this guy. But because I'm not driving, I don't know if he actually is losing time behind such a person. And oh,
nice shot.
That might have been because I cut the final corner. But still, I don't know. I'm hoping my second race goes better.
Okay.
I just don't know what I don't know what I did wrong. The game does a really good job of communicating what you've done wrong in most cases, but in the race, I'm not getting enough feedback to know if it's right to change strategy, bring someone in a little bit earlier, why they're so slow at that point in the race.
So for me, my perennial thing at the moment is tyre wear, is what's stopping me from getting better results, because I'm always having to pit a lap before everyone else because the tyres are always red hot. So I'm trying to focus how I can solve that a little bit.
I mean, the other thing for me, of course, is that I also find that I'm playing it too much like Grand Prix World. And so I'm giving it, I mean, it is deep, but I'm giving it a bit more credit than perhaps I should for depth. And I'm trying to play like 2-3 moves ahead, and that really isn't how you should play this game. I'm starting to learn that the game actually is about getting the most out of your package, race on race.
Yeah.
So it's actually a little bit self-defeating to sort of think, well, I'm going to develop my car for the string of string of similar tracks at the end of the season, for example, that's self-defeating. You shouldn't do that. What you should be doing is aiming to improve your car for the next track, for every track. And that's not a style of play I'm used to.
Uh-huh.
Although my reliability has actually been a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I've not had a failure yet or a crash, so pretty pleased with that.
I've not had a retirement due to reliability. I do always, because when it comes to the dilemma, because you're given quite a lot of notice before like something goes pop, I can normally bring them in and save it. But yeah, it's been a... But quite often, especially in like the first few races, I've... Oh, I fucked that up. Yeah, pit, Smithy, pit. I spent a lot of time having to pit and rectify problems, and whether or not I restart where I am in actually my season or not, or just continue on, I've got one driver who is just piss poor, and I've really tried, and then he started getting bitchy with the team because he is piss poor and the other driver's doing way better, and he's like getting lapped by a Milady driver, and I don't really know what to do. But the problem is that the stats for my reserve driver at the minute are even worse, apart from the feedback. So he doesn't get any time because I stick the development driver in for practice, and then he comes out for quali. At the minute, because I'm in the bottom series, you're all reverse championship, so he's always last anyway.
Oh, hello.
Oh, hello. He's always like last on the pole because he's last in a championship. But he spends about 3 corners in the lead and then just drops all the way to like 18th. And I'm like, oh, cheers.
Yeah, I mean, there's some parts of it that I just haven't got my head around yet. Like the clean air optimization in Quali. It's impossible for me to have both cars out on track at the same time very often because you have to spend so much time being precise on that slider to make sure your tyres are not cold or overheated when you cross the line. Mm-hmm. And you're not in traffic because traffic really does mess you up. But I've got a new criticism actually, to be honest.
All right.
My team target is 10th in the championship.
Yep.
I've told them that I expect 10th in the championship. Everyone knew what was happening going in.
Yeah.
We didn't finish last in the race. We didn't get points either. And yes, arguably we could have done a little bit better. But the morale of both my drivers dropped to 0% after one bad result. and now they're both talking about leaving the team before the end of their contract, like they're courting other teams. And I'm thinking, hold on, like you knew that we were going to have a difficult season. I said in the press it was going to be a difficult season. We have one difficult race, the season opener, my very first race in this game. It doesn't go to plan. It's not terrible. It's not a disaster. We didn't reach maximum potential. And now my drivers want to quit, and that feels a little bit inaccurate somehow.
Sure.
Ooh.
You're front row, by the way, mate.
I know.
Was that you just noticing?
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't know what position I was. I just did my laps and came in. I had no idea.
Right, I'm going to leave that tyre. It's only a 10th.
What I don't understand is in Q3, a lot of drivers do like one fast lap and then come straight back in. But it actually is better for your tyres to do 2 laps together and then come in. And then you miss out on the fastest time on the track right at the end of the session. But it means your second fast lap, you have more tyre life. Seems to me. I set the fastest sector 2 and now Sebastian Vettel's beaten me.
Ooh.
By 4 100ths of a second. Slimy git. I'm going to ride on board with you on your out flap.
Now I've gone back out on the same set of tyres.
You have to do, right? You only get one set for Q3, I think.
I've got 2 because I've gone for the softs. So I'm still on my optional, because the theory is that if I can't one stop it, then at least I'll go super soft, soft.
That would be a good strategy, I think. Although I'd maybe consider doing the soft stint in the middle.
Yeah.
Because I always find being on the faster tyre at the end of the race to be better.
Yes, I agree.
You are faster than me in Sector 3 by half a tenth.
Okay. I really got turn 3 wrong on my lap. I went all the way out to the blue. So, I feel like I know the way how to do it properly, but I don't seem to be able to get my car in the right position to do it properly often.
It's amazing, isn't it, though, that you learn this kind of stuff just by experience now. That you know I'm making a mistake in positioning and things.
Yeah, and like this final section here, like attacking that inside curb gains me like half a second, but it took me forever to kind of notice that that's how it really should be done properly, or at least for my lap as well. Because I used to be terrible in that final sector. Here we go,
Right, I'm watching your lap now. I'm going to talk you around where I have problems.
Okay.
Not this section. This section is good. And here, actually, it's holding very nicely, the corner you're in now. It holds really nicely in my car right now. I'm pleased. Oh no, session over, I can't show you. Never mind. Hold on though, you're on a fast lap. Why did it end?
If you're in the garage, it just takes you straight to the screen.
Ah, okay, I'm coming back to you then. Ooh, barrier touch there.
Just a smidge. Still 3 temps up though. Oh, not now.
Right, on this stretch here,
Yeah.
I stick on the inside here where you're a little bit further out than I am. Then here, I brake here, and as I brake, it pulls me into the DHL barrier on the left.
I brake in a straight line, so I zigzag across.
And this corner here, I cut all the time. You took a very nice line through, but I cut it repeatedly.
I'm going to finish the lap because it's quicker than going into the pits, but I've lost so much time with that.
Still, you're 5th.
Yeah, I'm quite happy with that actually. There was about 3 attempts to be gained, but you're faster around here than me, definitely.
Oh my god, I kept 2nd. I didn't expect that to happen.
Woo! Mr. Taco on the front row.
Surely, now something will go wrong.
Some kind of explosion.
There'll be a disconnect. It will disconnect. I can tell you now. Every time I've had a chance of a podium or a win, the game disconnects. I just know it.
It just goes no. Like that Liotzi video.
Nevertheless, another episode down on our quest to finish another season.
Oh yes, and we are approaching. Actually, once we've done this race, we're nearly at 25% done.
Exciting.
Nearly. Oh, sorry, 20% done. Sorry. down boy. Anyway, actually, we should do this now. Predictions for the Brazilian Grand Prix before we sign off on this one and move to the race.
I don't know if I actually believe it will happen, but I'm gonna suggest that we might see a Rosberg win because Lewis has a poor start. I'm gonna say Ricardo 2nd or Lewis 3rd, or possibly the other way around.
Ooh.
So.
Well, I'm also going to veer for a Rosberg win. I'd love a Rosberg win. I'd love the title to be decided here. Whether it will happen or not is another story. I reckon it will be Rosberg, Hamilton, Raikkonen.
I'd like to see that, actually. I think Raikkonen deserves a few more podiums for the drives he's been putting in.
Oh,
Speaking of people who deserve podiums for the drives they've been putting in, join us next time.
Will the taco be on the podium? Stay tuned. Take care all. Bye for now. Taco Tuesday.